Hello YouTubers and welcome to another episode of the Yambulance van conversion, where we take an old Scottish ambulance and turn it into a tiny home on wheels. Today, as I said in the last episode, we finished the roof rack with the solar panels on, so the wiring is now about to start. So the plan is, this is where most of the wiring is going to live. We're going to put the solar controller, going to put the inverter, going to put the other electricals there, because most of the wires will be up high and only needing to run a short distance, versus previously the Yambulance had wires all over the place running round the van, going the longest distance. So I'm trying to work out the shortest distance, especially with the wires I've taken out. I should have plenty of wire there to reuse as long as they're the right size. But as seems to be a theme in the Yambulance van conversion, I have almost no experience of doing it, but using many YouTube tutorials, using the experience of my dad, and keeping my fingers crossed, of course, everything should go to plan. So now we're going to just sort of run the wires, because we're still waiting on other wires and other parts coming in, like the inverter, etc. So we're going to run the wires that I can run and imagine the rest until we get the rest of the parts. And after a lovely day of running wires around the Yambulance, then taking them out again, then putting them back in, it's time to do that again. Luckily, the stuff we're doing is inside the Yambulance instead of outside in the classic Scottish weather where it's chucking it down outside. And most of the work that to be done to the outside is done, or at least doesn't have to be done right now. So the wiring, just a couple of more things to run or make sure they run properly, and then just waiting on deliveries now, which is part of the waiting game now of just parts getting received. So I've got batteries coming, or the cells for the batteries coming from China. They should be in here in the next few days, so I can't really test much without that being in place, and I can't finish the wiring without that being there. Switches coming, different bits of the lights and whatnot. So doing what I can now in the rain, out the rain, and waiting for parts as well. And for those of you that don't know, this is my parents' dog, Meg. Say hello to the Yam Squad, Meg. Who's next? Let's discuss what I've been sort of wiring, what's going where, or at least the plans for now that might change, probably will change by the time the end of the video arrives. So, we've got little crosses on the roof, not sure if you can see. Where are they? There. One here, one and all around the roof. So, I'm going to have an entrance light. As one enters the van, you have a light here. Then you have a group of lights, one above, right here. So that'll be above the sink, hopefully. One here, roughly. And then one above the stove top. And then one above this area here, which hopefully will be a sort of seating area. Then, as we progress to the back of the van, we've got the bedroom area, and the garage. So we're going to have a light around here somewhere with a USB port somewhere as well, so I don't have to sort of go to the front or middle of the van. I can just plug my phone and whatnot in the middle of the night. And then we've got the fan here that was part of the ambulance, and I'm getting a pulse width modulation switch to hopefully be able to run this fan not at 100% because it is quite loud. Once I get the batteries, I'll let you guys listen to it. And it can also potentially run it in reverse as well to act as an extractor fan, especially as we're close to the cooker anyway. But it would be good at the very least to have it run much quieter. Then also, the van had some lovely aerials on the roof. So I had one here, one there, one there, one here, and I'm not really sure why that's so many, because they seem to be all doing the same thing. But I'm going to be reusing one of them to at least attach to a Wi-Fi router, and hopefully that works. Maybe a Wi-Fi and 4G router. What else have I got? I've ran some cables, ran the power for the diesel heater, got some other switches, and hopefully, so I've been watching, as everyone does, all the van life videos and some what I've done wrong about my van, etc. And what people have been saying is, for one thing, I've put my switches in the wrong place, so I have to go to the back of the van to turn on the lights when I get in the van, or when I get in the van I can't turn on the lights, etc. So I'm going to have a switch panel here, or at least that's the plan. Not for all the switches, just for, so at the very least, the entrance light and the middle sort of lights, and then when I'll be in the middle of the van I can turn those lights on and off as well. So that's kind of that's the outline, or the plan of the van in my head. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you have heard anything that sounds a bit silly and you think you have a better idea, let me know in the comments below. But now back to running more cable, because realistically, when everything's on, it's going to be quite difficult to run the cable at the ceiling and the walls. So I want to, at the very least, just make sure everything is run to where I think it might be. So let's get to it. So that is some of the wiring done today. Much better job today versus the other one where I basically had to start again. So now that I semi-understand what I'm doing, I have put in the first big boy fuse right here. So that's for the solar panels, or at least, yes, that's for the fuse from the positive for the solar panels. So that then goes to the solar controller, which is actually right here, a Renogy 60 amp MPPT controller. But I'm waiting on the batteries still, so to get everything kind of put in, and also some more connectors, so then I can wire up the fuse box to get all sort of lights in and whatnot like that. But even just doing this fuse here onto the solar panel wiring, that's a big step, and it just feels like every day there's things changing, things improving. We're getting closer to the final stages of the Yambulance. Not saying we're in the final stages now, but every day it's like little improvements, which is really cool to see, and really cool hopefully for you guys to also see. So obviously it's still raining outside, so maybe I'll spend some more time doing some wiring, but I'm getting pretty hungry. So I think that will be it for the end of today. And I will see you in the next day, which will probably be tomorrow, which will probably be raining, we'll probably be inside, and we're probably going to continue the wiring with slightly more experience than I had earlier, but still, let's be honest, not enough to do this job, but there's plenty of YouTube videos. So hopefully this is also a little bit of, well, if you're trying to do something, giving you the confidence to do it. Obviously, try to be safe as always, but there's always opportunities out there for you to go do stuff. Now on to tomorrow. And with more wiring shenanigans, we've finally got to the stage where the wiring will be going into the fuse box there itself after more running of the wires. And these are the little lights we'll be having, little down lights. I've got my entrance light there. Got 4 sort of middle lights. Got one at the back. And that's it for the lights there. But as you can see, the roof is getting more and more disorganized. And as we go through this as well, the rest of the van will be getting done too. But now we're on to the next stage where I can actually get all the, or at least everything that I've ran, wired into the fuse box, get the fuse box positioned, and then I can start to position other things as well. So exciting times. On to the exciting stage. Okay, so the switch is in. First switch, just to test all the things out. The battery is in, just to test battery until I actually get the batteries that I've bought, hopefully any day now. So I'm going to turn this light off. Puts you down. Sorry for the squeaking chair. And fingers crossed, if I connect this to here. Ooh. So that means this switch is on. I have light. There's one light, two lights, and three lights. So that's the... Absolutely fantastic. So now, to rig up the rest of the switches, fingers crossed it all goes well, won't you? And we've made it to the next day of wiring the Yambulance. So the plan today is to try and finish it off, really. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be the last day. And the plan on top of the plan is basically to rewire. So here was going to be a charging cupboard, but I'm going to move that. So it's going to be over here. So a much shorter cable run. And then just a couple more wires to run, but a big part of it is making sure I don't miss anything out, because once the ceiling's up, once the walls are completely in, it's going to be much more difficult to run any of the wires, run any of the cables with all that up. So let's get to some unwiring and rewiring, and hopefully this will be the last day. Oh yeah! So now we have the diesel heater working. I think it needs a little bit of a service, so I'll get a new glow plug in there and probably lube up the fans a little bit. But if this works, that means the fuse box is working. So I know the lights work, diesel heater is working, but now I'm going to be nice and toasty while I work, just making sure the diesel heater gets a nice run. Seeing if it actually does work, which it looks like it actually does. So now, a little bit more wiring, but like I said, the roof is pretty close, or in fact, it's pretty much done. Yes! And there we have it, Yam Squad. The lighting has been run. The wiring is complete in the Yambulance, kind of. So everything is run, like as you saw here. Still a very big mess of cables. We've got cables still hanging around, the lights still hanging from the ceiling, but everything is in place for everything to go up, like the ceiling, so then we can route the cables and put to the ceiling on, have the lights on there. So the idea, let me go through, because the idea has evolved as the wiring has been done. So we realized that putting the cupboards that came out of the Yambulance back in means that I can't have lights across the roof almost. So I want to have two lights down in a box, two lights down here. Can't quite do that. So we're going a light here, an entrance light that will be under the small cupboard here. Then there will be a light about here. This will be that one there. And then there will be a light under the cupboard here, so lighting up this should be the hob. And then on this side, underneath the cupboard on this side, the seating area, hopefully, fingers crossed, will be lighting there. And then you have the 2 LED strips, one right here, that will be over the bed area, and that will light that area, so that can be any color you like. As you saw, we have the little remote here that can change the color, so we can go red, we can go green, we can go Yam Squad almost orange. Green? No. An orange? Oh yeah. But they're also waterproof, which is why there's one up here, and this one will be going into the shower, which will be living currently where all these cables are living, but I can finally clean them up because I think everything has been run. As you may have seen before, I'm not sure in the previous videos, there's aerials here, and those aerials were actually fantastic aerials, but there was 3 on the roof, so I didn't need that many. And I have kept one back, sold the other 2, kept this one back so that it can connect to the Wi-Fi router. Absolutely fantastic. So the Yambulance will have Wi-Fi. Then there's a couple of other things like running USB ports. So I'll have a USB port down that end of the van. And then I've ran some cables for the 240 volt extension. So there's going to be one down roughly in the kitchen, and there's going to be one in about the middle of the van, the seating area, and then there's going to be in next to the router, there's going to be, this is what this cable's for here, it's a 12 volt socket / USB combo. So I think this area is going to be sort of the charging cupboard for the gadgets for the Yambulance, like drone, camera, GoPro, etc, etc, for charging all the devices, keeping them out the way and nice and tidy. Then this cable here, actually, thank you so much to all the help from the Ambulance Conversion Facebook group, where I've been stalking that a little bit. So this fan right here does actually work. It's part of the Ambulance initially, now part of the Yambulance, but only had an on-off switch and would run full blaze and be quite loud. Now I have, I'm not sure if you can see it from here, if that focuses, there it is. That shiny box looking like a cheese grater, that is for the fan to control it, slow it down, make it a little quieter, but also reverse it as well. So that means this can act as almost an extractor for cooking, etc., but also circulating the airflow, because we do have this window, this skylight, or both skylights, and then also another opening in the roof here to let in some air, or force air in or out, which, fingers crossed, should work really well. Now that means it is time for the ceiling to go up. It has been a while, Yam Squad. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video up until this point, as that is the end of the video, and we're moving on to the next stage of wiring, which will be putting the inverter in, which I thought I might be able to do, but I'm still waiting on the batteries. The inverter, the battery-to-battery charger, the batteries themselves, and there's a third, the solar controller, obviously. And then tidy up the fuse box, because right now there's quite a few wires around there, but just to make sure everything's right, getting the fuses right, making sure the wires are tidy, not crimped up, etc, etc. But pretty happy with the results so far. Yes, it is a bit of a shell, but we're getting there. Yam Squad! And as always, remember, if you have enjoyed this video, to subscribe. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Really excited to see where we go in the next video, which I think will be doing the internals in the Yambulance. So, quick recap for that. Bed here, kitchen here, seating area here, shower behind me, stuff going on over here. But that's for the next episode, Yam Squad, and I'll see you in the next one.